Praise the Lord, everyone. Are you a content creator who's struggling to be able to effectively communicate your message through your content on YouTube? You struggle to communicate the content through published videos that you post on your channel. You struggle and even sometimes get frustrated when you attempt to do live streams. You feel like you're just not communicating more effectively. That will get individuals to want to engage in your content by clicking the like button, leaving a content, and sharing your content, and even, yes, even subscribing to your content. Well, this morning, I want to share with you 5 important tips I believe every YouTuber, every content creator, every working class content creator needs to know when it comes to their communication skills. And we're starting right now. Praise the Lord, everyone. Welcome to The Huddle. I'm your host, Walter Strong, where it's our goal to help working class content creators like yourself to grow your channel, get more views, and make money online. And as we said this morning, we're going to be talking about 5 important tips I believe that every YouTuber, every content creator, every working class content creator, however you identify yourself, video influencer, or just a man or woman of God who just wants to share your message, we want to get into these tips this morning. And so let me know in the chat where you're watching me from. Give me a hashtag Team Live in the chat. If you're watching the replay of this episode of The Huddle, give me a hashtag Team Replay in the comment section. And so, as we get into this discussion this morning, those of you who are watching me live, or if you're watching the replay, do me a favor in the comment section. I want you to be honest with me. I don't want you to be critical or self-judgmental about this, but I want you to be honest with yourself and say, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate yourself? Would you rate yourself a 10 when it comes to your communication skills in your videos that you post on YouTube? Would you give yourself a 6 when it comes to doing your live streams? Or would you give yourself a 2 when it comes to your YouTube shorts? Now, whatever the content, I want you to score yourself. Score yourself in terms of how you view your communication skills on YouTube through the content that you post. For me, I would probably give myself an 8. I would give myself an 8 because I believe I'm a work in progress. I'm always looking to learn and to grow and to get better, to effectively communicate, not just on online video and through live streamings, but even just through life and through my 9 to 5 job when I'm interacting with other employees or I'm communicating with supervisors and managers. I want to be able to effectively communicate the message that I want to share that will provide a solution to the problem that they're asking me to resolve. And that's the same that thought process is also when it comes to my relationship with my wife, my relationship with my daughter, my relationship with those who I am a part of my local community church. I want to be able to be a better communicator. So on a scale of 1 to 8, 1 to 10, I would give myself about an 8. I would give myself an 8. And so there is areas for me to improve. That other 2% is the part where I find myself being the most critical. I tend to be the most critical. And not that I'm saying a particular phrase for 10 to 15 times throughout the conversation, saying X amount of ums throughout the conversation. It's the level, I believe, of confidence that I have in the message that I'm trying to communicate. It's the thought process to make sure that what I am communicating to you, whether in person or online through live streams, that we are connecting, that you hear the message that I'm trying to communicate to you so that there are no misunderstandings. And I find when people have misunderstandings through a conversation that you have with them, there is a breakdown somewhere in the communication. Now, sometimes it could be the person that's receiving and listening to you that the issues could be on their end. But for the most part, I tend to look at it from my aspect in terms of, why is there a breakdown in communication? Why is this message not being effectively communicated to them so that they can kind of understand the message and the points that I'm trying to make? And so that's where the 2% for me really comes in. Um, Especially in the workplace and this new day of age of working remote and even working hybrid, and we use things like Teams, and we use things like Slack, and we use things like Zoom, and we communicate with one another through Google. I forget what Google's is. I think Google's chat, and you're trying to communicate with them in terms of trying to answer a specific problem that they have or to address a certain issue, and you're multitasking and you're doing so many things. And so my mindset sometimes is to just give you a quick response. But I find sometimes that quick answer, that quick response is not sufficient. And so that's where sometimes my frustration can be with not so much as the person, but with myself. And so I share these things because these things that we deal with in our everyday life and through our relationships with family and our relationships on in our career and our jobs and in our churches, this can bleed over even to content creation. This can bleed over even into your YouTube videos. This can bleed over even when you want to go live through your live stream. And so let's get into these 5 tips as you're putting your score of how you view and you kind of rate your communication skills. Now, if you were a 10, put a 10. Hey, and be so bold to let me know why you feel you are a 10 when it comes to your communication skills, because, hey, I'm willing to learn from what you put in the live chat and what you put in the comment section of the replay. So my first tip that I believe that every content YouTube creator needs to be aware of when it comes to their communication skills is, are we learning to connect with the listeners who are hearing our messages? Now, most of the time we say viewers who are watching our content, but guess what? There are most times where people watch our videos and even watch our live streams. When our live streams go live, there is I forget what the percentage is, but most, I would say probably over 50% of people don't necessarily sit down and watch your video or watch your live stream. They will put it on and be doing other things in the background while they're listening to you. I believe this is the reason why podcasting is becoming so much more of a relevant platform and format for people to listen to. It's interesting. YouTube several years ago threw their hat into the arena of platform, which it was pretty much predominantly with Apple and Spreaker and Spotify, but now YouTube has become a major player into the podcasting arena and provided us a tab on us being able to create content. And so viewers don't necessarily will always sit down and watch your content that you post and publish on YouTube, but they are listening to you. And so it's important, whether if it's a published video, whether if it's a live stream or a pre-recorded episode, podcast, video podcast, you have to do your very best as a content creator to connect with your audience. Now, how do you do that? I believe the beginning stages of you being able to connect with your audience is through the presentation of your package that you put together. Your content idea, your topic, your title, your thumbnail, and your ability which I will add timing to be able to connect and connect with the viewer in the first 15 to 30 seconds of your message. All of that plays a part in being able to connect with the audience. A second way that you're going to learn how to connect with your viewers and your listeners who are listening to your content, okay, is going to be your ability to identify with them about the pain point that they have in their life. You being able to identify with them with the problem that they're dealing with. Not so much as being willing to say, hey, watch my video. Here's my 3-step solution on being able to learn how to be able to be more consistent on YouTube and to be able to post more content on a daily basis. They're not so much coming just for the solutions. They want to. There's something in your video package. There's something in your presentation package that has piqued their interest. That says that you are able to answer the specific questions that they have. Now, I'm using content as my example, but we can't just lead with the solution to say, hey, you need to start batching out your content. You need to spend time batching and working on your thumbnails. You need to start batching and working on putting together your scripts. You need to start batching and record. You need to identify and connect with them regarding the pain points that they're dealing with. You need to be able to connect with them regarding the problem, the conflict that they're dealing with. Being able to connect with someone and or people that you're speaking to, the tribe that you're trying to connect with, the community that you're trying to build, comes from you being able to be relevant and being authentic and being transparent. I said a lot there. Being relevant, being authentic, being transparent. You pick one that identifies with you the most. For me being transparent with you is a core pillar for me as a content creator. Me being relevant, where I can connect and share with you some of the pain points that I've dealt with, that you can identify with, helps me to connect with you, helps you to connect with me. And so being able to connect with one another also helps to let me know as a content creator that I'm speaking your language. There's nothing more frustrating to be. You can speak the same native language in terms of speaking English, but if we're not speaking the same language, if we're not communicating on the same issues, and you hear someone say, do you hear me? You hear my heart. They want to know, are you connecting with me? Your viewers want to know, when you post content or when you go live, are you going to deliver on your value proposition of what you promised in your content, that you can say, I hear what you're saying, and I'm speaking your language today in the content. So learn to connect with your audience. Let me know in the chat where you're watching me from this morning. Give me a hashtag Team Live in the chat, which brings me now to point number 2, or tip number 2, which is point number 1: learn to connect with your audience, learn to connect with the viewer or listener, and then learn and develop the skill of storytelling. Learn and develop the skill of storytelling. I heard a quote once that a person says that being a great public speaker is not so much in terms of you going through X amount of curriculum and taking master classes and enrolling into to the Toastmasters, program, which all these are good things. But the person said to me, one of the key prerequisites in being a great public speaker or being a great communicator, a great orator, is the ability to be a great storyteller. How are you when it comes to your storytelling? How are you when it comes to being able to tell an effective story that connects to your content and your message that you want your audience, your community to connect with? It's interesting when it comes to, you know, movies and television shows. There is a like a three arc system for the most part. A lot of big movies, Marvel, DC, Universal Studios and Sony all use Spider-Man. There is identifying a particular conflict or problem that said hero is being confronted with. There is the presentation of what the solution needs, coming up with the solution to address the problem. And then finally, there are the action steps that said hero, best actor, best woman, best actress, supporting actor, all have to engage in identifying what the problem is, identifying the solutions to address said problem or problems. Sometimes in Marvel, there's more than just one villain. There are other villains that are involved, but ultimately coming up with a solution and then implementing the action steps. Now I'm not talking about a call to action and a call to buy things. That comes later. But action steps that you can say to communicate to your viewers, your listeners who watch your content. And so, what are the problems in your content that you are identifying with? For us as working class content creators who maybe not having a desire to want to go full time on YouTube, but we have a 9 to 5 job, you have a 9 to 5 job, you have a family, you have other personal commitments, you volunteer, you're part of your local church. And so one of the pain points is some of the pain points you have is that you are constantly burnt out, you're frustrated, and you feel like you don't have enough time to be consistent on YouTube. Those are some legitimate pain points that you have as a content creator. You want to be able to become and develop your skills when it comes to your presentation, to your thumbnails, to make better thumbnails, because you feel, hey, if I learn how to make better thumbnails, I'll get people to be able to click on my videos more and stop scrolling past my content. If I learn how to come up with better titles, you say, if I can make better titles, this will be more compelling and concise for me to get them to watch my video. If I learn how to be able to hook my viewers on my content in the first 10 to 30 seconds and get them to watch longer, my watch time on my content and them watching more of my content will be produce better results for me, and the videos will perform. These are problems, these are pain points that you have. Now, the solution is being able to say, okay, making the time and looking at identifying certain software programs, things that can, for example, if you struggle with thumbnails and Chat GPT has the image generator 2.0, and you want to start experimenting on learning how to make better thumbnails, maybe you use Chat GPT image generator 2.0. How, instead of you sitting and going through a long photo shoot of taking pictures, you take some of your old pictures and you begin to redesign and change the colors of your shirts and redesign and change different images that will give you more photos for your thumbnails. That's a solution that you can use. And then it's a matter of the action steps of putting your thumbnails together, putting together your titles. So the storytelling helps with being able to share with your viewers. I'll give you an example. I had a client who came to me and they said, I have an opportunity to be able to start submitting X amount of grants to be able to get access to monies for my business to expand and to grow my business. My problem is I'm just not confident in being on camera. I'm not confident in being on camera. I'm not comfortable in being on camera. And so I said to the individual, I understand what the problem is. Let's look at the possible solutions. The same way you spend time responding to text messages that people send text messages to you, I want you, instead of for the next, for the next 7 to 14 days, I want you to start responding to your text messages as video messages. You take a few seconds, you take your phone, and you begin to record a brief video about a response to the text message. Doesn't have to be long. Typically, 15 to 30 seconds. That's a reel or YouTube shorts, right? Perfect. And so you're going to then send said message. You're going to make sure you make eye contact with the camera, and you're going to communicate and respond just as you're having a normal conversation. You're going to do that. And through repetition, you're going to find that you're going to start to be more comfortable, more relaxed as you record yourself. I don't want you to start being judgmental and thinking what the person who you send the text message is going to say. Why are you sending this video to me? And man, you look terrible on camera. This is a friend that you're responding to. Well, this person did this and took the advice. They took the action steps. Was now that you've kind of acted on this solution, I now want you to sit down and to record a video about yourself, about your business, about your services, and then we'll polish it up, we'll tighten it up, we'll do a little editing to it, and you can submit it to the companies, the organizations that are offering the grants for you to be able to qualify for more financing for your business so you can expand your business that you have. Well, several months passed after we kind of helped said content business owner, and then I learned on the news, not even from them, but I learned on the news that their business was featured in our local news for being awarded a grant of over $5,000 or more. They were featured in a special segment on the news on the importance of the industry that they were in. And it all spawns from them having the confidence, the courage to be able to record themselves on camera and to submit it for grant. And as a result, we were able to help them through identifying the problem, providing the solutions, giving the action steps. Now, that's a story I'm sharing with you that highlights those things. When it comes to your content creation, how effective are you when it comes to storytelling? How effective are you when it comes to storytelling? All of that is going to play a part in you being a better communicator when it comes to your content. Hey, if you're getting great value out of this episode of The Huddle this morning, do me a favor, click the like button for me, hit that thumbs up on the live stream this morning, and share this on your favorite social media platform. Let me know in the comments, or if you're watching the replay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you score your communication skills? How do you score your communication skills? Let me know in the comment section or here on the live chat. Which brings me now to tip number three, or point number three. Let me pop over. You want to be able to, as a content creator, know the content you are sharing with your viewers. If you're going to post a video on YouTube that you desire for others to watch and to get views, and you want others to share with other viewers, and to grow a YouTube channel, you got to know the content that you're posting when you get in front of the camera. Now you say, well, I'm just going to be spontaneous. I'm just going to talk off the top of my head. You can do that. You can do that. But here, let me share an important nugget for you. You're not the only person that's kind of winging it on camera. Just, if you're an extrovert and you can just go off the top of your head and just share whatever you're going to share, you can do that. But here's a couple of challenges you create for yourself. Number one, the time length, how long you're going to do this video. The time length of how long you're going to get into your introduction, the time length in terms of your 3 points, your summary, your conclusion. All of that has to be a part of the content that you have to have a good knowledge of. I'm not saying that you got to know everything word for word, but you got to know the basic introduction of what you're trying to share. You want to spend a little time of introducing who you are and what you offer. And get into your 3 points, make your summary, then make your conclusion. Okay, if you want to add a call to action, maybe add a call to action, but you got to know your content. You can't try to just wing this stuff video after video, live stream after live stream. Now, if you're just kind of doing this as a hobby and you're just kind of doing this just to post content, then okay, fine. But if you are serious about your YouTube channel, and if you are serious about growing your YouTube channel, you have to know your content. Some recommendations on how to better know your content. Maybe you put together a script. A script is going to help you not to lose focus or go off and go on a tangent. And so you kind of put your script together from the introduction to your call to action to your conclusion, bringing the video not so much to a close, but recommending the individual, if you have other content, recommending them to the next piece of content that they should watch. So putting together a script. Sometimes scripts can cause you to be robotic. So maybe you want that flow of being spontaneous and kind of flow as you go in the content like I do. You put bullet points together. Putting bullet points together in your content helps you to better become more confident and comfortable in knowing your content. And yes, you can kind of put these formats together, but you are also committing the time to kind of practice and go over this content before you press record, before you go live. But whether if you're using a script or bullet point format, this helps you to know your content. And then also, you can also use a video presentation or a slide presentation. I use a slide presentation because I have a dual monitor. So from time to time, I may lean over to the other monitor just to know where I'm at, so that I don't lose my train of thought. I don't lose my point. Okay. I don't have a team with me to kind of help me through these live streams. I'm a one-person content creator who kind of does everything. So I kind of do all and wear all multi types of hats. It's a lot when it comes to live streaming. And so, you knowing your content, whether if you're using a slide presentation, whether if you're doing it by bullet point or script, helps you to stay on point and not get overwhelmed while you're doing a live stream or doing a pre-recorded video. Which brings me to my next point. And if you take nothing else from these other points that I've shared to this point, this is the one point I want you to really grab hold of. I want you to grab hold of all of them. But it is said sometimes, as viewers, as listeners, when people give us 3 tips that we need to know, 5 points we need to know, 15 tips we need to know, 20 points we need to know, chances is, because we're living life, we're not going to remember all of this stuff. This is the reason why we have the replay. So you can go back and watch the replay. Thank you, Team Replay. But this is the one point I want you to take away. Learn to care. Learn to care when it comes to your presentations that you're doing on video on YouTube. Learn to care about your audience on your live streams. Now, here is where I believe where you learn to really develop to care about people and wanting seeing them improve the quality of their lives. Is it when you have 1,000 viewers watching you live, or 500 viewers watching you live, or you getting over a million views on your videos? Is that when you develop the skill to learn to care? No. I believe you learn to care about your audience when you only have 5 views. You learn to care about your audience when you only have 20 views. You learn to care when you only have 2 to 3 people watching you live on your live stream, and not 100 people like some of the other big YouTubers who are more established and who've been doing this a lot longer than you have. This is not a competition. But if individuals take time out their schedule, 2 to 3 people take time out of their schedule to watch your live stream, learn to care and to respect the time that they've given you, and to engage with them and connect with them. That's how you develop your communication skills as a content creator, by learning to care. Caring, again, being willing to connect with your audience and being able to identify with their pain points and the problems that they have, learning to care and to answer any questions that 1 or 2 people may put in the chat while you're live, or the comments that they may put in the chat. Learn to care when it's just a few. There's a biblical principle, I believe it's in the book of Luke. I believe it's in Luke chapter 14, that God doesn't bless us with abundance until we learn how to be faithful over little. You got to learn how to be faithful over little. That's a principle. On your job, you're giving a level of responsibility, and you want more promotion. You want to be promoted. You want more money. Well, are you faithful in the little? The few people who watch your content, maybe they're not consistent in watching you every time you go live. Maybe they're not faithful in watching every video that you post, but they're there. You look at the numbers over the last 90 days, they're there. You can see them in your analytics. The existing viewers that keep coming back. And yes, it's only 10 views. Yes, it's only 20 views. Yeah, you want to be able to get more views, but are you learning to care about those who are consistently connecting with you? I'll let that breathe. Which brings me to my next point, my final point. You build your communication skills You build your communication skills by repetition. You build your communication skills through not only repetition, but you build your confidence in your communication skills in your content that you publish on YouTube. As you build your confidence in your communication skills, it also helps in terms of building community because you are, again, effectively communicating with your viewers. You're effectively communicating with your listeners. You're building an audience of people, a tribe of people that feel you speak their language and you're confident. You can say, hey, I'm confident in what I'm saying here. But it all comes through repetition. And that repetition goes back to what I said, learning to care about your audience, learning to care about your listeners who are listening to you on your podcast, who are watching you on your live streams or your videos, even if you are in public as a public speaker. Learning to care about your audience. Do you take the time to know your content, to prepare your content? You wouldn't get in front of 300 people and not be prepared. The audience is going to immediately know that you are not prepared. And I believe it's the same when it comes to YouTube. Again, YouTube is a very crowded platform, but it is not so much a platform of all quality content. There's a lot of content, 20 million videos of content uploaded daily, but that doesn't mean it's all quality content. It's not all quality content. And so you want to make sure the content you're sharing is quality because you prepared, you studied, you've put together your bullet points, and you care. And through repetition, you're confident in what you're sharing. You're confident in sharing it if no one is watching at all. Because you know there is a replay audience who's going to watch your videos in the next 15 minutes or more. The question that I have for you, my fellow content creator, is are you building your confidence when it comes to your communication skills? And if you feel like you are just frustrated and you feel like you're not communicating your message effectively, then I submit to you these 5 tips this morning to really work on your communication skills. Don't get discouraged based on the lack of views right now. Don't look at the metrics. YouTube has already told me and you through the recent changing of views that it's about the engaged views that we can find in our analytics in the advanced mode. So you can have over 300 views publicly on a video, but are those really the engaged views, the numbers for the engaged views? You will find that it's not the case. It's not the case. And so you got to work on your communication skills. You got to learn to connect with your audience. You got to learn to care about your viewers and your audience. YouTube shows more content to viewers that they care about because they feel that the content creator cares about them. I'll say that again. YouTube will show more of your content to more viewers because the viewers feel you care about them. Because it's speaking their language. It's addressing their pain points. But if you're making content that you only care about, and then you're wondering why YouTube is not showing more of your content, it's because you're not connecting with your audience. I can't put it more plain and simple than that. Hey, if you're getting great value out of this episode of The Huddle this morning, do me a favor, hit that like button for me. Click that thumbs up. Don't, some content creators will say, smash the like button, punch the like button, kick the like button. Don't destroy your device. I just need you to press the like button. Hit the like button for me. Just hit the like button for me. Tap it. Don't destroy the device. Don't destroy your phone. Don't destroy your laptop. Share this on your favorite social media platform. And if you're new to The Huddle this morning, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button for me. Subscribe to the channel and click the alert notification button so YouTube will let you know when we are live or we post the next piece of content. That is the content we're ready to bring the train into the station. And so I just want to encourage you, if you feel that you've been struggling in the area of communication when it comes to your content, here are 5 tips that are going to help you by learning to connect, learning to become a better storyteller, knowing your content, learning to care, and building your confidence in your communication. And you can take this not just in content, but even in your relationships with your spouse, with your children, with your family. You can take these principles even when it comes to in your workplace of 9 to 5. So that way you don't feel like you're constantly going over in an email back and forth, and you feel like, why can't they understand what I'm trying to say? Why do we keep going back and forth in the chat on that? Maybe it's because you need to work on your communication skills. And if you work on these things, you will start to see an improvement, not just in those areas, but on YouTube. So that's the content. I appreciate each and every one of you checking out The Huddle this morning. If you didn't get a chance to leave some feedback in the live chat this morning, that's fine. Make sure you leave a response in the comments section for me and just kind of let me know where you are on the scale of 1 to 10 in your communication skills and what action steps you need to take to improve in becoming a more effective communicator. So we're going to bring this train into the station. We're going to thank each and every one of you who have been checking us out live, even if it's just listening, because the biggest takeaway, 2 takeaways. 1, always realize as a content creator, you have the responsibility to communicate to your viewers that you care about them. And when you do that effectively, they'll watch more of your content and the algorithm will show more of their content. And then the second takeaway is, hey, everyone that knows that your content is on, they're not always watching it, but they are listening to it. God bless.